Once upon a time, in a small village, tucked away in a lush green valley, there lived a poor farmer named Raghunath. Raghunath was a hard-working man, but no matter how much effort he put into his farming, the harvests were always scarce. His family, consisting of his wife and two young children, often went to bed hungry, and Raghunath's heart ached for his family's struggles. Despite his best efforts, poverty seemed to have a tight grip on their lives. One day, as Raghunath worked in his fields, he overheard two travelers talking as they passed by. They were talking about a magical pot that could make as much food as one wanted. The pot was said to be hidden deep in the forest, and whoever found it would never go hungry again. The pot was said to grant an endless supply of food just by asking it. Raghunath's heart skipped a beat. He had heard of such magical objects in the past, but he was never certain they existed. His curiosity was piqued. What if it were true? If he could find the pot, it could change his family's life forever. Determined to find the pot, Raghunath packed a small bag of provisions and set out early the next morning. He walked for miles through the dense forest, following the vague directions he had overheard. As he ventured deeper into the woods, the air grew thick with the scent of earth and foliage. The forest was silent except for the occasional rustle of leaves and the chirping of birds in the distance. Just as Raghunath began to feel hopeless, he spotted something unusual, an old crooked tree that seemed to be pointing towards a small clearing. His heart raced with excitement as he approached the clearing. In the center, there lay a small, worn pot that glistened in the sunlight. Raghunath approached it carefully. He bent down and whispered, "Are you the magic pot that can grant food?" To his amazement, the pot wobbled slightly, and then a deep, melodic voice answered, "Yes, I'm the magic pot. I can make as much food as you desire. All you must do is say the words, and your wish will be granted." Raghunath could hardly believe his ears. He hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to ask for. Then he thought of his family and their constant hunger. "I wish for food for my family," he said, his voice filled with hope. To his astonishment, the pot began to tremble and then grew larger, emitting a soft glow. In a matter of seconds, it filled with the most delicious food: bread, rice, vegetables, and fruits. The food overflowed, spilling onto the ground in a beautiful array of colors and smells. Raghunath could hardly contain his joy. He quickly filled his bag with food, thanked the pot, and hurried back to his village. When he arrived home, his wife and children were overjoyed to see him carrying so much food. They had never seen such a feast in their lives. Raghunath told them the story of how he had found the magic pot, and they all eagerly sat down to eat. The food was more delicious than anything they had ever tasted. From that day on, Raghunath used the pot to provide for his family. Every time they were hungry, he would ask the pot for food, and it would magically appear. Their lives became much easier, and they no longer had to worry about where their next meal would come from. However, as time passed, Raghunath began to notice something strange. The more food the pot provided, the more he became dependent on it. He stopped working on his farm altogether, relying solely on the pot to provide for him. His family became lazy, and his children no longer helped around the house. They spent all their time eating the food from the pot, forgetting the value of hard work and gratitude. One day, as Raghunath sat idly by the pot, it suddenly stopped working. No matter how much he asked, the pot refused to provide any food. He tried everything he could think of. He begged, he pleaded, but the pot remained silent. After hours of frustration, the pot spoke again in its deep, calm voice. "Raghunath," it said, "you have become careless. You forgot the most important lesson of all: gratitude and hard work. The food I provide is a gift, but it is meant to be used wisely. You must learn to appreciate what you have and never take it for granted." Raghunath was stunned. He had taken the magic pot for granted and had stopped appreciating the blessings he had received. The realization hit him hard, and he felt ashamed of how he and his family had become lazy and ungrateful. The next day, Raghunath went back to his fields, determined to work hard again. He asked his children to help him with the farming, and they worked together as a family, planting crops and tending to the land. Slowly but surely, their farm began to flourish again. The pot, sensing Raghunath's change of heart, started to provide food once more. But this time, it did so only when Raghunath and his family worked for it. The pot would give them enough food to supplement their harvests, but only after they had put in the effort themselves. Raghunath learned an important lesson that day. He realized that while the magic pot had provided for his family, it was the hard work and gratitude that truly made life meaningful. From that day on, Raghunath used the pot only when necessary, and he continued to work diligently on his farm. His family grew closer, and they learned to appreciate the value of both hard work and the blessings they had received. And so, Raghunath's family lived happily, not just because of the magic pot, but because they had rediscovered the importance of gratitude, perseverance, and the value of effort. They knew that while magic could provide for their needs, it was their own hands and hearts that would shape their future.